Hou Yifan is a chess grandmaster, four-time women's world chess champion, and the second highest rated female player of all time. A child prodigy, she was the youngest female player ever to qualify for the title of grandmaster, which she achieved at the age of 14, and the youngest ever to win the women's world chess championship at age 16. Yifan is the third woman ever to be rated among the world's top 100 players. She is widely regarded as the best active female chess player in the world and has been ranked number one in the world since 2015, despite being semi-retired since 2018. Yifan's accomplishments outside chess are equally impressive. After graduating from Peking University, she was offered a Rhodes Scholarship and obtained a master's degree at Oxford University. In 2020, at the age of 26, Yifan became the youngest full professor in the history of Shenzhen University. She is also a published author, having written books on chess strategy and tactics. Yifan's dedication, passion, and strategic mind have made her one of the most successful and admired chess players in history, and it's an honor to have her on the show today. Ni hao, Yifan, and thank you for joining us on Life Excellence.
Hi, Brian. Thanks for your introduction, and I'm very happy to join our conversation today.
It's great to have you. Yifan, your success as a chess champion is incredible. And what makes it even more remarkable is the early age at which you achieve that level of success and your rapid ascension to becoming world champion. What sets the very best chess players apart from other top players?
I haven't really think about this question seriously before, but I think in any of the field, if you wanted to be one of the best, let's say, players or one of the best people, you definitely need something, something in common. For example, like resilience, like willpower, like the passion for the field, and a lot of things like focus, concentration, and good mindset. But there should also be something unique. Let's say something unique to that person. You need to, let's say, have something belongs to you that probably makes you differ from the others. I think that's also important. But if you ask, like, for example, how chess players differ to the other players, right? I think probably, considering the let's say the how to say the traits of chess, or let's say the general perspective that chess may have. Of course, we need the players who should not only have a very good, let's say, physical situation, who should not only have a good strategical point of view, have a good let's say tactical ability, calculation ability, good mindset. So in general, it's just like a combination you need to have in case to make yourself stand out. But also, I think until a certain level, gift means a lot. But this gift could only matters, for example, when you are already, let's say, top 50, top 30, and you want to be the top 10. I mean, in the open section, which I so far didn't achieve yet.
Well, you haven't, and I like how you said yet. So what is the difference between, say, the players in the top 10 versus somebody who's ranked 100th?
I believe there's a lot of difference. I think I could share some perspective on this matter, though I only enter top 100. I think most likely not even top 50. But somehow I get the chance, probably the only one maybe benefits from my gender and my age, that I could participate among those elite events to compete with all the best players among the world. A lot of top 10 players, actually, I played them quite often since we were both very young. So while I was playing with them, I felt like they're definitely professional chess players. I think professional makes makes players different. Let's say top 10, top 20, or top 100, because if you look at the list of top 100 players, probably there will be some who are not professional chess players. I mean, I'm not saying that they have other profession. Yes, some they do, but even if you talk about their training method, talk about their general lifestyle, it's not like a pure professional chess player. So I think that matters, like how you train yourself scientifically, how you treat chess as your career, as your profession. Did you really manage chess as a sport, as a career, that you need to think about the skill, the mindset, and also even your dietary habit that may influence your performance. But for me, to be honest, I really didn't pay attention to a lot of other factors apart of pure chess techniques. Maybe that's one of the reasons that I'm not the best of the best. Yeah, but okay. But also, wait, what we were talking about? Yeah, talking about that top 10, top 100, the difference. Also,
Right.
there are other difference. I believe most of the players who are in the top 10 among the world should have certain gift on chess. This gift could somehow shows in intuitional level, like you just see chessboard, you just see this pattern recognition with certain type of moves, and you even don't need any expression to express why this is good. Just something born in nature to you. But for others, maybe you need a lot of train, but still you cannot get the key point of that. So we say it's the sense of the chessboard. And I think this gift really matters. And most of the best players do have this intuition.
I appreciate that, and we'll talk more about the gifts. How did you first become aware of chess, and how old were you when you started playing? You were obviously a gifted player, maybe from birth.
Well, to me, I think that I probably do have certain gifts on chess. I mean, not the best. For example, I played with Magnus a lot of times, and I can see that he is definitely much better, even on this gift level. But I do have some because when I was young, that I started to learn chess when I was 5.5 years old. And then after half year or 1.5 year, I started to win the tournament from let's say from our provision, and then from the national level, and then the World Youth Championship, just like step by step, and then I get some good results. Not only because of this performance, but also I remember many of chess people, even coaches who taught me, have keep talking to people that they saw I was kind of pretty talented on chess. Though I didn't really feel like how they found like this. Probably just they show some exercise, some hard and difficult positions, and I felt like the way I manage it, it's somehow in a good level, probably. Uh, and also that I feel like sometimes I see position in a different perspective. That sometimes also influenced in your daily life, but that's another topic. But how to say, I think this gift only matters when you really work hard on chess. If you just play it for fun, even you are like a genius on chess, no, without hard working, it would never work.
That's a very good point. When we hear the term prodigy, and I mentioned in the bio that you were a child prodigy, whether that applies to a chess player, a violinist, a mathematician, or a painter, we think of extraordinary innate talent or born talent. Do you believe you were born with the skills of a future grandmaster and world champion, or were those skills learned and developed through the early training that you had talked about?
No, I really didn't think about it before, and even now look back, I don't think I was really like born with later in chess. I thought on one hand, yes, I felt like chess is just like the sport that I love. I would like to put my efforts on it. I have feel passion about it. But on the other hand, I also thought I was lucky. So first, I was lucky because I was born in an era that chess has developed fast in China. Because, for example, if you compare my generation, like early 20s, just like the first of the new century, compared to like 2 or 3 decades ago, at that time, even the the material you could access to learn chess is difficult. And as a Chinese, you travel abroad to participate chess tournament is difficult. So all these objective situation probably would be the challenge for someone even who is talented to develop fast in chess. So on this matter, I thought I was lucky to born in a kind of right moment. Why I say right moment? Because I thought my generation is unique. At the very beginning, the invention of AI algorithm of machine learning is not that like everywhere. We still can show our own understanding, our human skills to play chess. But only after 5 or even 7 years that this we call it chess engine are kinda become super strong and could really help player a lot in their preparation, which could also provoke more young players to jump into the very strong level at a very young age. So I thought that this era, even all the access you could get, but somehow technology makes it develop too fast. And already the nature of chess training competition is completely different. So I was somehow in between, trying to switch from the traditional, let's say, model to the modern era model. So that would actually gives myself, who is not a pure hardworking chess player, more chances to show your skills. So that's the other sense by which I thought I was lucky. And also I was lucky because I get the full support from my family. They really support my own choice, my own interests to just cultivate me on the chess world, develop my chess career. And also I was lucky that I could meet several very good coaches through my chess development since I was at a very young age. And then later on, I also got this opportunity to participate a lot of strong events. Let's say represent China for this team championship, individual chess championship, and also for those invitational chess tournaments like YCANC and other invitational events among Europe. So that really helped me to practice a lot.
You mentioned the support of your family. Yifan, it seems unusual for a young girl or even a young boy to move away from home, which I know you did, and dedicate your life to a particular undertaking. And you did that, I think, at the age of 7. Could you tell us about that? And do you have recollection? I know that was a long time ago, but do you have recollection of how you felt during that time? And also, as you began competing, how were you received in the chess community? Was it unusual that somebody so young was playing in tournaments, or was that commonplace in China?
Well, I do have some impressions actually. So, as I said before, that I started to learn chess when I was 5.5 years old. So you actually have correct information that when I was 7 years old, I moved to another province to learn chess. So when I was 7, exactly after only 1.5 year learning chess. So that was a difficult decision. From my own memory, I only remember that my parents told me, "Hey, we have this summer break." And we got this good opportunity to learn chess, follow one of the strong chess coach in China, who himself is a chess grandmaster who won our national championship. So do you want to visit another province just for the summer break and learn some chess, play with new friends? I said, oh, that's cool, for a young girl to travel, to meet new friends, even to play chess, a sport I love. That's great. So I come. At that time, I even talked to my friends in the school, in the primary school, that, oh guys, so we'll visit the north part of China and we'll see the next semester. Yes, so that was my plan. But somehow I visited there, and I remember that's when the coach and the grandmaster, Mr. Tong, he saw me. He thought, wow, a girl. He was very happy because at that moment he had in his chess club there are a lot of good, let's say, chess players among boys section, but for girls it's just like numbers down. So when he saw me, he was very happy, and then he asked me to play with a couple of his students who considered to be representing at different level the best. Well, somehow I even played the good results against the strongest boy around my age, or even a little bit like older than me. So after that, the coach said, "Oh, you should stay here. You should learn. Practically, you're very strong, but your theoretical chess knowledge is almost equal to zero. So, like a pure practical player, you should learn more theories about chess." Then he asked me to stay, and because of this, I stayed there for just 1.5 year, but much longer than I expected. And that also guides me to the professional chess world. I thought that's point. Therefore, that's my impression about that decision. To me, it's just like natural, nothing serious. I just visit for fun, for my enjoyment, and somehow it just continues because of the good performance. This situation happened similarly in many of the later career decisions, actually. But when I heard the story from for example, my parents and my other family relatives, I heard something more like, this is actually a very difficult decision because my parents actually just like, let's say, a staff in the government or in the, let's say, company, whatever, just so they need to ask for a leave and to accompany me to bring me there because that's not a professional chess team. Just most of the kids are the localized people and they just visit to learn and go back. But I need to find a place to stay. And at first, my parents need to go back to work, so I need to stay in a friend's house, things like that. And later on, my mom traveled there, accompanied me. Actually, there are a lot of, let's say, things happened which I didn't really pay attention at that age. By the way, I thought also why I said family support, this is very important because they're trying to exclude all those information of, let's say, staying away from me to help me fully concentrate on chess and not influenced by a lot of, let's say, daily life things. That's very important for a chess player to be fully concentration. And talk back to the story, yes, at that time, most of my family members were against this decision. But somehow my parents, especially my mom, are strongly supportive for this decision because she thought that if I want to improve my chess performance, I need to find somewhere else because in my hometown already the coach said either you find another place or you stop learning chess because he thought if I keep studying there, it's just like waste of time. So that's what actually a critical decision if I look back.
Well, you outgrew that coach at a very early age. It's a fascinating story, and I love hearing you talk about the support of your family and your parents and your mother moving away with you. It's interesting to me, and I wonder if because obviously you've had conversations with your parents about this in recent years. Do you know how it was that you were able to go and learn with the grandmaster and former world champion? I think
No,
it's
not a
interesting
former
that you
world champion, former national champion, not world champion.
national champion.
Yeah, he
Okay.
was just like 25 something at his peak. So just a
Okay.
strong grandmaster in China in that generation. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we talked about this. Well, not very often actually, but yeah, I know something that because let's say my first coach who was an amateur chess player himself said that you need to find another place to stay, so my parents start to look for. But since in that period, let's say internet is not very popular and information you could access is very limited, so my parents coincidentally meet a chess coach when I was playing our provisional chess tournament. And you know who he is? He is actually the father of the coach I went for in the north part of China. And because they were just talking, and the father said, "Oh, actually, my son is teaching chess in Shandong province, and I thought you could try." So he gave the contacts to my parents, and we tried that. Yeah. So that's a story I've heard. I mean, of course, there's something more in details, but it's just like a storyline. I think just coincidentally we found this, and actually my parents didn't like, finding a lot of coaches trying to talk, to compare, to see what is the best situation for me. I thought it's good, just naturally, coincidentally, something good, and you trust it, and you just go for it without too many hesitation. Sometimes it's important in life decision, but also, in chess decisions during a single game.
Well, that's wonderful the way it turned out. And so it was really good old fashioned networking. And it's interesting that even in the chess world, sometimes it's who you know, right? And making connections that create opportunities. Yifan, we've mentioned a couple times the term grandmaster. And I suspect that a lot of our listeners and viewers will be familiar with chess and familiar with some of the terminology. But just to give people who aren't as familiar with chess some perspective, I read that of the 1,700 grandmasters in the world today, only 40 are women. And I wonder, is that a function of the sheer number of men players compared to women, or is there more to it?
I am not so sure if we're talking statistically, but the general situation, yes, if you compare the certain level, the number of male players and female players, of course, male outplays. So, for example, top 10, no woman, top 100, one was there, yes, one, but now maybe, I don't know, maybe no. And top 200, I believe probably only me if we're talking about active. And then maybe next 200 players, another, something like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but just to say that maybe one among 100, yes, or even more that ratio. So a couple of reasons. Firstly, I think that the men participants in general, the fundamental number is greater, much greater. So of course you might appear more better chess players in a stronger level. And also, grandmaster already means something professional, right? Means you spend some time on chess, you participate a lot of tournaments, you gain experience. So that requires, as I said already a couple of times, some personal traits, some efforts on it. You probably also need to sacrifice on other things, let's say personal life or maybe some other interests. You need to make a decision. And for this, maybe girls or women might be get distracted at the certain period or certain age due to different reasons. So probably that it would also matters that the way to the grandmaster is not that easy, because Brian, you mentioned that grandmaster is just like the strongest, the top norm, the top level of chess players. But in case to achieve that, there are certain ways, and the most common ways you need to get 3 norms. And each norm you need to get under specific situation, like you need to reach the rating performance above 2,600, and then you need to participate in a tournament that at least the players from 3 or more different countries, and there are actually a full detailed let's say information requirements of how to achieve a norm. You see, that's a well designed and complicated system. So that shows that if you only perform good once, no, not enough. So you need to keep playing well, and you need to have stable performance, and your own rating should be once above 2,500, and then you can get this title. So that actually, different aspects adding together, and then you can become a grandmaster. But of course, there are other ways, special ways. For example, if you win the Women's World Champion title, you can become grandmaster immediately. Or if you become the runner-up of the Women's World Chess Championship, you get a norm. So although I was world champion, but I get the grandmaster title even before that, because I won 2 norms, and my last norm came from my runner-up experience of 2008. Yeah, 2008 Women's World Chess Championship.
And I know today, I think maybe you're just outside of the top 100 or just within the top 100. But what does it mean for you personally to be ranked in the top 100 chess players in the world, and to be the only woman in the top 100 or even close to it?
Nothing special, I believe, because I think top 100, I'm sorry, but yes, top 100 really means nothing. I mean, what differs from top 100 to top 500? Yeah, there are differences because that shows your strengths in which level. Just like this, I mean, I don't really think top 100 is something like symbolic. No, it just shows your general performance. And if you keep staying there like for years, that shows you have a stable performance. I think that's the only thing to me to level your skill at those periods. That's the only thing. But if you ask me, okay, if top 20 means something, top 10 means something, I say, yes, that's different. That means the elite level, the best chess players. Yeah. But anyway, I'm happy because, if we talk not from myself, the personal case, but if I talk as a female chess player, to be honest, I'm happy to see, today me maybe Previously, we have Judith, who by the way, already top 10 once, the top 10 already previously. Sorry for my this bad history about chess. Yes, and we have Humby, who was in the top 100, right? And
Right.
maybe later on we'll have more female players from younger generation who might step top 100. I think in general this is good. This shows that girls' power. This shows that the general performance of women in chess is grouply better. Let's say generally better compared to the previous years. I think that's a very important moment. That means a lot. But let's not talk about my personal case. I'm just talking about the general development of women's chess. I think that's really important, and I hope to see that. Firstly, we have people continuously be in this top 100, and also we might have more women players in this field. I think that will be good.
Well, I think you're being humble when you say that it's not really special to be in the top 100. I think it's a remarkable accomplishment. And the fact that there have only been 3 women ever in the top 100 is pretty significant. But in doing research for the interview, I've noticed you being sort of casual about your achievement or really humble. But I do think it's a significant accomplishment. Do you ever think we'll see a woman world chess champion?
Sorry, do you ever see what? I didn't get the point.
Do you ever envision a woman winning the world chess
Uh,
championship? So we've had somebody in the top 10 that you mentioned, and you've played, and we'll talk more about that, players you've played, and you've been successful playing top players. Do you see a future where there would be a woman world chess champion?
Well, of course, I personally I hope so. That I hope in the future that we may have the woman who shows the real power and can compete among the best to fight for the crown. But despite this hope, if we're talking about the objective situation, I thought it's difficult. At least it's hard to imagine in the next 10 or 20 years. I think that's very difficult, very difficult. Just I didn't see that, for example, the younger generation or even much younger generation, anyone shows this potential to become the best. So that's a key point. But I think, similar to other fields, let's say STEM fields, or not to say other physical sport field, just like very rarely that lady could achieve the best. This kind of topics, yeah, it's very popular. But if talking about chess itself, I think different reasons. Some of them I mentioned before, like the general number, the concentration on chess, the general physical situation, the general energy, because really it's a sport. Anyway, it's a sport. You need to be in a good shape, physically ready for a long and very frustrating fight. But also, maybe I don't know, but for this let's say brain structure, this kind of neuroscience, I don't know if there's some difference could also matter that man woman perceive chess differently. I don't know. It's interesting topic. For example, if you look at those emotional decisions that may occur more in women's chess, and previously the fight, let's say the drawing games occurred more frequently in open section compared to women section. And also sometimes that women tend to make more how to say emotional decisions, like trying to win, trying to fight, and less focus on the tournament situation itself. Let's say play chess, not play for a chess tournament. I don't know if that's correctly described the difference, but yeah, I think all those things could also, become a factor that how the general trends of man and woman showing differently if we're talking about the results.
Well, I think it's fascinating discussion, and you're right. We don't know all the components that go into it, but I think it's interesting to hear you describe it because we get some sense of what it takes to achieve success at a high level in chess. You talked about the draws and the sort of the emotional fortitude required to play through draws and to play through an entire tournament. It has to be incredibly draining, and obviously you need to be very, very focused. And as you know, losing that focus for just a moment can be the turning point in a game that causes you to lose, right?
Disaster. Yeah, that could be. I remember that in one of the tournament when I was very young, I got completely winning position, almost like checkmate my opponent. I thought, okay, it's winning already. Started to think, okay, next round whom I might face, and for that opponent, what opening strategy I should have. And suddenly, I felt like my opponent has a counter play, and several moves later, I lost that game. You know, so it's exactly said. If sometimes you get distracted, even in your own brain, nothing affects you. That could turn the game over. Yeah, that's actually the essence of chess. You need to be fully concentrated and have a pure mindset.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's very important.
And
And
that's
also,
probably
sorry.
excuse me, I was going to say that's probably the reason I'm not a better chess player is that I don't have the patience and concentration to be able to work through an entire match. Our game would be very quick, I think.
Well, I just want to say that for me now, I'm in more or less similar situation as you, hard to be fully concentrated. Yeah, well, that's another story. I just want to add that talking about our emotional topic before, and from my own experience, I felt like, in some situation, I remember clearly important tournaments, and in the last round, I only need a draw to secure the champion. Let's say if I lost, maybe I lose the title. And already the position is slightly better. Well, slightly, and I have a lot of a chance to lead the game to a forced draw situation. Somehow I refused. I felt like I should fight for a win. No, that sounds a bit like not professional. Yes, I did. And playing, then I got worse position. Okay, luckily, finally I saved that game. So I keep the title, but still, you know, if we are a mature chess player in those situations, you just need to go for that situation, happily draw, and then you win the tournament, right? Because it's not like you have a huge advantage. It's just like slightly better. But then I just decided to play chess. I don't know if this situation happened in a lot of other women players, but I talked to few. Yes, similar situation happens. But if we ask top players, maybe they won't do the same decision because I remember when I was playing with them, I mean the top 10 players, when they feel like the position might be out of control, they know how to take it back, to control this or try to find a way to simplify the position. I think that could be a major difference.
And is that a function of patience or strategy, or what causes them to be able to navigate through that tenuous situation and sometimes reverse it or change it so that it ends up being a draw rather than a loss?
Well, I don't think it matters about patience or strategy. No, that's all about techniques. Because if we're talking about strategies, like, okay, someone knows how to plan, how to make a strategy, but someone doesn't know. But actually, everyone knows there's a drawer. So now it's not about strategy. I think it's just like how you deal with yourself or how you compete with another you. I don't know how to say. Just like you need to persuade yourself that go, go for it, accept the draw. Do not overthink. Do not really focus on the chess itself. Think about it's a tournament, it's your career. I think it's this kind of things, not about technique, but just like you should have a right mindset.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love your passion. Ifan, what do you love about chess?
Ah, Well, it's hard to say, because for me, chess is just chess. I couldn't really give it another alternative word to define what is chess, why you love chess. I think chess this word is actually means a lot. So firstly, I love it is because it contains a lot of or contains unlimited variations. Um, Combine both the calculation, strategy, combination, and pattern recognition, the shape, and the let's say the balance. A lot of things if we're talking about pure techniques, but also I like because it can reflect the things outside of chessboard. Let's say life decisions, how you tackle with the challenges, and how you negotiate with yourself. I just feel like every players should be able, or every players could find their own definition about chess, could learn their own experiences through chess.
I love that. It is as successful as you've been in chess, though. You've made it very clear, and again, I saw this a couple times in my research. You've made it very clear that although chess is a part of your life, it's not your whole life. I know there was some controversy when you stepped away from the game after winning the world championship in 2016. Can you tell us about that decision and the reasons for making the decision and the impact that it had on you and also on the chess community?
Yeah, I believe that's a crucial decision. Although back to then, I didn't really think about that could be, this general influence. To me, that was just a decision similar to any of my other decisions. Maybe just think a bit more and talk a bit more, something like that. Why I made that decision is because I believe among your research you already know a lot of backgrounds, but just I'll try to make it short. So I first won the World Chess Championship title in women's section back to the year of 2010. And then I won 3 times, 2011, 2013, and 2016. And all those 3 times I won through match. Well, we consider match is kind of the highest level to define who is a chess champion, as nowadays the system shows. But back to then, it's different because every time I was the challenger to play this match and trying to fight against the current champion. How it happened is because those years, 1 year is a match and the other year is a knockout system. So almost every year we need to have a new champion. So that makes this like very tired and very complicated. Because if we look at the chess history, all the famous matches, let's say Bobby Fischer, Spassky, Kasparov, Karbov, all those matches are are decided by the World Championship match to decide who win the title, right? So match means I think match is one of the best format to see who is the best player, or at least relatively, at least it's much better than the knockout system, because knockout system contains a lot of uncertain things. If you suddenly not if you're suddenly not in a very good shape that day, you lost a game, and then only have one chance to fight back. Already, it's a different story. And even if you luckily win, okay, then tiebreak. And for tiebreak with shorter time control, a lot of things could happen. But the match, no, it's like sometimes 24 games, sometimes 12 games, 10 games already. You can perform, you can have 1 or 2 days not in a very good shape, but if you're strong enough, you definitely have the chance to fight back. So this is a format that seriously demonstrate that who might be the best player, or at least who is qualified for the title. Therefore, after 3 times win the match, and also the highest rated player, I thought, okay, maybe it's a time to provoke some challenge, some changes. That's my reason. It's not because, okay, I'm tired to play all those events. I believe that I can keep playing as a professional chess player, because if I keep playing, maybe my career path would be different. Maybe I will not study at Oxford. Maybe I will not be a professor at a university. And if I keep playing as a professional chess player, I believe that I definitely could win at least a few more women's world chess champion title. Because firstly, my rating there, my age there. I was still like young and could put a lot of energy on chess, right? But I thought, okay, so what that means? If I have this time, okay, firstly, I can, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, and that's part of what surprised me was that you were so young. And I think the system for the women's world championship was different from the Open, right? Was that part of the concern that you had, or that you thought it should be the same rather than the
Yeah.
alternating system that the women had?
Yeah, that's also one of the reasons, not the only reason, but of course, I mean, I didn't see the reason that why the two sections should have the different system, especially the in open section, the title decides from the match, like the traditional one. So I thought why woman section it cannot be the same. So also that's one of the main reasons. But also for me personally, I thought, if you keep playing the system, you may, not have that more time to practice yourself, to play with stronger players, to improve your chess level. That's one thing. But also I felt like if not me, who might stand out in the near future to call for the change? Because I'm definitely one of the players that get involved very deeply because I played the knockout system. Not like some people said, okay, you don't like the knockout system. No, my first title won from the knockout system. And even 2 years earlier than that, I entered to the finals. Continuously twice entered to the final, in knockout system. That's not, everyday situation. So I actually grew up from that system, but I also, because of this, I know that this system sometimes could be coincidental. So I hope that title seriously should be designed in a more fair system. So that's the thing. So I stand out because I felt like maybe, actually before that, I talked to the chess people in FIDE and also other people several times, even writing official letters, even talk privately. And most of the people thought, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's definitely, reasonable, but we do have point 1, point 2, point 3 difficulties to change the system. Of course, I know it's different. It's difficult. It's not that easy. That's a kind of revolution, right? Still, I kept talking and then they kept answering, but no changes. Sooner or later, I felt like, okay, maybe, you need to send out publicly and then maybe it can provoke or maybe not. If not, that's fine. But if it changed, at least I thought that's a big step for women's chess. Okay, later on we see that it changed. So that comes to your second question, like how it influenced the chess world and myself. Okay, for chess world, I thought it's good for women's chess because later on, I think in 2018, they changed the system and now the match decides and the winner who won the title could just stay there, wait for the challenger. And then we have this knockout system calling World Cup and we have this candidates tournament. So both sections are nowadays almost the same. That's good, and that's kind of decides the better players deserve the title. This kind of things. I mean, although I said better players deserve the title doesn't mean the players who never win the title is not the best player. No, actually, I know some of them who are very good, who are very potential gifted. That we played a lot since we were both very young. But just I thought that we could say they were a bit unlucky, didn't win the title, but they still deserve one of the best women chess players still. So just want to add this, and so I thought that I'm still like happy and not regret for my decision if we're talking about the development in women's chess. But if we are talking about my personal case, of course, there's influence, not positive influence, because of this. Okay, I give up the title, and then they changed the system. They said, okay, now you can back. I said back. I said, yeah, you can play from the scratch, playing this candidate tournament and try to challenge the title. I said, okay, but I just give it up and okay, you asked me to start from the scratch. And also they change it to like in a specific moment where the first time the world champion decide in a knockout system. And that year, I remember in 2018 or 19, during my study at Oxford, and they asked me, you can play this. I said, okay, but I only have 1 year study at Oxford, and I need to play this tournament. I need to prepare. That's somehow unlikely, right? So I decided not to play that, and already you miss the best chance that joining back this circle. So sooner or later, I'm not involved in anymore. So if you think about influence, I'm not holding the title, and now I'm not a professional chess player. And of course, I have to admit that talking about this, actually, the price conditions also improved a lot. Compared to those years when I was playing myself. So financially, yes, it's like a huge drop down, but that's fine. I mean, of course, once you make some decision, there will be up and downs, right? So in general, I'm very happy that I could try something or try my best to just support women's chess into a step further.
Well, and I appreciate that background, and I'm glad that the system changed. And it seems like you really did have an influence on FIDE changing that system. And so I think that's terrific. Speaking,
Like I have this influence of it. No, but just probably because I was the champion. I was a highest rated player, and somehow I decided not to play. Of course, it caught a lot of attention. And maybe outside or inside, they decide to focus on this issue. I think the thing is to because it has a lot of things: management board, professional chess, let's say general promotion of chess, going chess in school, a lot of things to do. Sometimes make this things in the priority of their agenda is not so easy, and maybe due to such a decision, they thought, oh, it's a serious thing, we should try to prioritize it. So I'm very happy that they finally sees women's chess important, and this trend continue to nowadays, because many chess players, including myself, I felt like FIDE really improved a lot for women's chess in the last couple of years. So that's a good thing for most of the female chess players.
Yes, it is. Yifan, you're now at Shenzhen University, where you became, as I said in the bio, the youngest full professor in the university's history. Share how that's going. It's obviously very different than what you were doing as a chess player. And what does life look like for you as a professor at Shenzhen?
Well, yeah, at that time, yes, although now it's changed. Now, I'm actually the associate professor of Shenzhen University because of this, how to say, administrative change. It's hard to explain, but anyway, I'm let's say teaching students. I'm working as academia staff in the campus. That's true. So talking about your question, like how a different, I think. It's like both sides. Firstly, it's very similar because my profession is still about chess, but it's about, let's say, chess teaching, chess training, building up chess team, and also doing some chess related academia project. So I say same is because the topic is still surrounding chess or surrounding mind games. That's a key thing. But the difference, of course, my role has been changing. Previously, I'm mainly a chess player playing my own games, or sometimes chess people who promoting chess among the world in different occasions, but that's like part-time. But now I see chess not as a player perspective, but as a chess person. So I need to consider not only professional chess, how they train, but also need to think about how to design a good chess curriculum in the college in case to make it more suitable to the students here, how to build up a collegiate chess team and what are the key points. And even you think about how to use a chess as a tool to cultivate the college students maybe who do not know well about chess before, just like in general cultural things. And cultural sports that in those fields, how chess could explore its potential role. I think that's the main thing. And apart from it, also nowadays I'm doing some administrative work in my department. So it's not about chess, it's not about coaching, but just some daily work. I get to know let's say academia projects application and some HR things and some administration things. I thought that's good. I mean, through these experience, I also get to know more things, experience my other skills, and also get to know this world more, let's say, horizontally. Previously, I'm more or less a chess player. So your perspective is a little bit narrow, a little bit limited. And now it's like, okay, you get into a career, you get into a new career, new position, new role, and the new potentials. So in general, I really enjoyed this past couple of years, and happy that I know more things. And through this process, I also feel like in particular questions now, how I access it, the perspective might be changed. Previously, I know how I could think about those things, how I would like to deal with it. And nowadays, I really could think about that. There's not like a black and white. It's not always right and wrong. You see things really more in a general and middle perspective.
How does chess fit into a college curriculum? That's interesting to me because in the US, the educational system is a little different, and chess wouldn't be part of a formal, and I don't know if in China it's a major or what role, what opportunities there are exactly, but I know at least to the extent that you're teaching, you're in the physical education department, and chess is a program within the physical education department. Can you share more about that?
Well, chess in the PE department is because following the policy and the country's policy. And for example, in our department, we do have other sports as a major, like swimming, like ping pong, table tennis, and
Mhm.
we do have like gymnastics, like different things, basketball, just different sports. And chess is just like one of those sports, exactly the same. But of course, we do have our own unique traits because chess is mind game, and how you cultivate students should be different from the other sports. Back to the question, how you generally design the curriculum nowadays, because most of the lectures I teach regularly is still to the students who do have a certain chess level, means they know chess before. So it's their major course, the course they have to pick, which we call it selective course. No, not selective course. It means the fundamental course. They have to study this course. So while I design the curriculum, it's both for college student and also for a good chess player, for a decent chess player. So I do combine, let's say, chess skills, tactic, opening, middle game, end game, this kind of things. But also, they are a college student, so I should try to add in some, let's say, how to write an essay or those chess related articles sharing. And also, since our efforts to cultivate students is trying to teach them become a school teacher of PE, of other sports. That's one of our main cultivate efforts. So sometimes I also ask my students how to teach, ask them to try themselves to gain the practical experience and the difference between playing yourself and teach to others. So basically this teaching course, the curriculum design is really focused on our specific situation of those students. But in the meantime, I'm also trying to search how to design a not fundamental, selective course of chess for those students who doesn't know chess. That's a different story. I think that's the main part if we're talking about campus sports culture, because then you need to not only teach them how to play chess, because of course they don't want to be a professional chess player. They choose this course due to the reason that okay, they might feel like interesting. Maybe they wanted to build up their strategical thinking, trying to learn more about chess history, or maybe interested about AI and chess. So you need to make sure that your course design is well-rounded, could benefit to different people into the different sections. And also nowadays in China, this psychological issue is always an important topic. we try to encourage students to, do exercise, trying to find their own way to release the pressure, trying to build up, they become strong to deal with pressure or deal with the failures. So in those type of topics, I believe that chess also can explore its role. And that's another thing that I'm interested in trying to gathering some material, let's say the future plan.
I'd like you to share a little bit more about that. And you've also, and I'm going to ask you a specific question. You've talked about this a little bit already, but again, it goes along with what you just said. What do you believe are the most important lessons about life that we can glean from the game of chess? I've seen a lot of parallels in your responses and in our discussions between chess and life. And I wonder for you, and as a chess player and an educator, what your thoughts are around that.
Actually, a lot of lessons, but after hearing your question, the first answer came to my mind is to negotiate with yourself or to accept the unperfectionism. So I don't know if that's the right word. So give me an example. I was a kind of person trying to find the best answer, the best move, trying to always search for a perfect solution, a perfect option in a chess game, and also in life decisions. But just through those chess careers, I realized, for example, in a game, and you always try to find the best move and you spend a lot of time. And okay, yeah, you find a slightly better move. Then you're under time pressure. Your opponent has a lot more time than you, and easily, most likely, you will make a blunder, and then you throw the game away. And then, once you have this kind of situation happen several times, you start to think about, oh, is that, perfect move really exist? Even if they exist, is it worthy that you spend a lot of time on it and then give yourself less time to tackle with the following challenges, maybe you unexpected. And sooner or later, I thought, no, it's not the way. You just need to find the most appropriate decision in the specific situation and give yourself more room, make sure the situation is under your control. So talking about this in short, just like appropriate equals to the best. There's not always a best decision, but always a best for you, means that's the suitable, the most appropriate for yourself. I believe that's best. And the other thing is you need to accept that no one is perfect. You need to realize unperfectionism is another way of perfect. But sorry for my English, as I feel like, these two things are kind of the lesson I learned through chess and actually adapt to my life outside of chess world. So for example, while I was doing my undergraduate studies and graduate studies in the campus, and also I'm keeping active as a professional chess player, so I balanced well. But it's hard, if both sides you wanted to be the best of the best. So I've realized you need to set a realistic goal for both sections. So for example, for me, I was like, okay, I can accept my chess society, drop down, not as good as previously. And I can accept that my academic performance not the best, but of course you try your best under the limited amount of time. So I think that later on works well.
Well, those are great lessons. And by the way, your English is extraordinary. It's far better than mine. And I was born and raised in the United States. So I appreciate that. Your English is far better than my Chinese. I'll tell you that for sure.
Thank you. That's sweet. Yeah, and because for this kind of perfectionism, I get used to speaking Chinese, so I can just kind of describe much better. But I just hope you and our readers, our viewers, could understand what I was trying to talk about, because I thought that's really important. I wanted to share with our friends. That makes me a little bit anxious, but that's fine.
No, you've explained yourself very well. And if your explanation might be a little bit better in Chinese, but none of us would understand it. So I appreciate you speaking English. Ifan, what advice would you give to aspiring chess players who want to follow in your footsteps and achieve some level of success in the game? And then more broadly, and as a final response, what thoughts do you have for our listeners and viewers on achieving success in any area of life? Because obviously you've achieved a significant level of success in chess.
That's a hard question because I suddenly feel responsible for my answer. But in general, I feel like trust yourself is always very important, no matter which area you want to devote on. So trust, passion, willpower. I mean, these keywords are matters in different fields, of course, if you want to achieve something. So that's something like basic. But if you're talking about the advice I would give to the, I believe, young people who wanted to achieve in the chess world, maybe other field, I thought one advice I would like to share is do try to find your own perspective, your own understanding through the thing you learn, no matter it's chess or what. You will find something belongs to you. That's very important. So when I was young, although I accept other opinions, I try to learn, but I always keep in mind that, wait, if I don't do this, is there any other solutions? If not this, can we find something else? So always, having this kind of questions and think about, everyone has their own understanding towards something. So do not always try to copy or try to accept the information that others give to you. Yeah, that's important. That's kind of our accumulation. We need to learn, but you also need to find your own way to export, transfer through your brain. Have something based on this, but maybe improve the level from yourself. This kind of things.
Yes, that's great advice. 谢谢, Yifan. It's been wonderful
不客
getting
气
to
，You're
know
welcome.
you, and it's been such a pleasure having you on the show today.
Oh, thank you, Brian.
Thanks for tuning in to Life Excellence. Please support the show by subscribing, sharing it with others, posting about today's show with Hou Yifan on social media, and leaving a rating and review. You can also learn more about me at BrianBartes.com. Until next time, dream big dreams and make each day your masterpiece.